He's a bad brother. Tyreek Hill is special. Make no mistake about it. And we know how special he is. And Jalen Ramsey is going to be in for a challenge. Is he up to it? It remains to be seen. If you was ready to go up against Odell Beckham Jr., why are you not going to be ready to go up against Tyreek Hill?
True.
But even though 11 receptions by Odell Beckham Jr. wasn't all on Jalen Ramsey, as he made sure to remind me on Twitter, by the way, the bottom line is that some of them were. So I look at it from the perspective that it's going to be real interesting to see what's going to happen here, because it's not just about Odell Beckham Jr. in game one against Jalen Ramsey. It was about who was throwing OBJ the ball. In this particular instance, with a young arm like Patrick Mahomes who can fling it, let's see what Tyreek Hill is going to do.
You're on the Patrick Mahomes bandwagon now.
Well, I mean, listen, I got to give props where props is due. I got to give props where props is due.
Welcome to the party, Max.
He's a young brother with a strong arm. But what impressed me most about Patrick Mahomes is that I didn't know he could run like that.
Yeah.
You know, so your ability to extend plays, the way that he's
from behind win
plays.
Also, he's been winning on the road. It's all special.
And extend them behind the line of scrimmage, too, in Patrick Mahomes' case. Look, I think that's right. Tyreek Hill saw what Odell Beckham Jr. did to Jalen Ramsey. And let me say this. Jalen Ramsey is great. You can hardly do better. Odell torched him. He torched Jalen Ramsey. It was a mismatch. Look, offensive players always have the advantage. Receiver, corner, the receivers almost always, unless you're Deion Sanders, who's the best who ever did it by a lot. The receiver's always going to have the advantage. And Odell, I believe he's difficult for him to prove it because it's Eli and that offensive line, and that also affects the running game, even with Saquon Barkley. I think Odell's the best in the game. So Tyreek Hill sees that, and Tyreek Hill is more explosive than anyone, including Odell. Not as good as Odell, but as an offensive weapon, the guy is just absurd. He has explosive big play capability, the likes of which probably no one else quite has. So even if he doesn't think of himself as Odell, or he's not Odell, he knows he has a much better quarterback, a legendary signal caller running the show in Andy Reid, the best tight end in the game, which, you know, draws some attention that way, and at this point, a more effective running game. So if Odell can torch him, then Tyreek Hill, considering the situation he's in, not to mention his own ability, has got to be feeling pretty confident about his chances. And I think that's what this is about. I think it has to do with what Odell did.
We got to pay attention to what Marone's going to do with this defense. I mean, you know, with a defense like this, I don't know if you want to zone up, you want to man up and what have you, which means that we might see Jalen Ramsey in situations where he's going against Tyreek Hill. We just don't know right now, because you got to throw a myriad of defenses at Patrick Mahomes, because the only objective that you have right now at your disposal is to try and befuddle and confuse him. If you just come straight at him, that's not going to work. The offensive line is doing a good enough job of protecting him. You obviously have Tyreek Hill. You've obviously got Travis Kelce. Kareem Hunt coming out of the backfield can catch some passes for you. Sammy Watkins is there right now. He's got 14 receptions on the season. They've got threats all over the place. And when you combine that with his mobility, it's going to be real interesting to see what the top defense in the league is going to throw at him. Are they going to try to man up and beat him up and you know, and just out-physical them, or are they going to try to confuse this second-year quarterback and see what he's got for him? It's going to be really interesting to see that.
And by the way, you know, Hill could have a quiet day, and Kansas City's still capable of putting up 35 points against anyone. I mean, that's the kind of offense it is. And so, listen, if you take resources away from the opposing defense and other guys are going off, you know, in Tyreek Hill's case, if he does that, he's still done his job.
Yeah, I want to dig deeper into this matchup, Stephen A. And I also want to mention Leonard Fournette was ruled out for this game, played last week. Who has the advantage? Is it the Jags' defense or this prolific Chiefs' offense?
I'm going with offense. And the reason why I'm going with the offense is because it's been tried and proven. It's not to say that the defense has not in Jacksonville, but the point is that, again, I don't know what kind of game Blake Bortles is going to bring. These are not the New York Jets, but the Kansas City defense is never going to be confused as being great or confused with one of the great defenses in the NFL today. So if Blake Bortles has a good game and he keeps Kansas City on the field, defense on the field, and it puts some added pressure on the offense and what have you, who knows what kind of day it's going to have. But I'm going to go by what I'm seeing. When I think about the Jacksonville Jaguars, they've had some tight games this year. They've already lost one where they lost to Tennessee 9-6. I'm just looking at them, and then they go against the Jets. But this high-powered offense that they've got to go up against in the Kansas City Chiefs, I just look at it from the standpoint, again, Kansas City doesn't have to score 30 or 40. They could score 25, 27, 28 points and still be considered better than solid. I'm looking at this right now, and I'm saying to myself, I don't see the Jacksonville defense preventing them from doing that. And that's just why I'm just going with it from there. And not only that, it's an Arrowhead Stadium. And I think if it were in Jacksonville, then I would be more inclined to give Jacksonville the edge. But being on the road at Arrowhead Stadium,
arguably the toughest stadium to play in.
With that crowd behind them, I think that offense is going to be ready to roll.
Whew. This is a matchup. You have that offense where you're looking at it, you're going, oh boy, that's like some new version of the greatest show on turf, or Peyton with the Colts with those weapons, or you start to think about the most explosive offenses you've ever seen. And that defense for the Jags, I've been saying it's a generational defense. Even if you like the Rams defense a little bit more this year, or think by the end of the season because of Khalil Mack, who I told everyone was going to be the best defensive player in the world this year. Even if you believe that, you have to acknowledge the Jags have a special defense. So that offense versus that defense, styles make fights. Stephen A., you bring up the fact that they're at Arrowhead. Like they had problems with Denver, but they had to go to Denver. Well, let me just say something about that. The Denver defense is fine. It's okay. It's good, solid, middle of the pack defense. And did the Kansas City offense look to anyone like the Kansas City offense has looked all season against that Denver defense? For the first time, Mahomes, still no interceptions. He's that special, right? But only one touchdown, had to come from behind, took a little Mahomes magic to win the game. No, that Denver defense did a number on them. They did a really good job, and they are nowhere near the Jaguars defense. That is a different kind of animal.